Yeah, you'll be over here. No, just right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. And good evening to all the people who are watching on streaming, live on streaming. People are here streaming live, something like that. You are all on camera, so welcome. Say hi to people, Antiochians across the world.
I can't hear you.
Welcome. We are live here in Washington, D.C., and I'd like to introduce Barbara Winslow, class of '68 and chair of the Board of Trustees, to welcome you all.
Well, first of all, welcome my beloved alums of Antioch College. I'm so glad to see you all here. And we are having a board meeting, and we are at a period of transition, something which we've known is coming, but we are going to be continuing the process of building a terrific college in Yellow Springs, Ohio. This is our time for our college to make the next step from its reopening 10 years ago, I believe, and accreditation to becoming the college that's needed in the world. And in the world we're living, we need a college like Antioch more than ever. We've had one day of a college board meeting, and I can just say that we have terrific leadership, beginning with Tom Manley, our president, the senior staff, our extraordinary faculty, and this time we now have a student representative on the board who you're going to be hearing from. So we have terrific leadership, and we're very confident in the next steps we're going to be taking. Now, We are very proud of our students, and Ben, I hope you tell everybody your very good news that is coming up. Our students are smart, they're creative, they're imaginative, they're in your face, they're Antiochians, just like we were. And Ben Zitzman, am I pronouncing your last name right? Thank you. And Jocelyn Cruz, where are you? You've got to come up. I think we have 2 students in attendance, and of anybody you want to talk to, these are 2. And also Emily, our faculty member on the board, who is a dedicated, brilliant, wonderful, contributing faculty member to the college and to the board. And finally, I always have to end because one of my jobs is to try to raise money. We're in March, and you've all been reading about the $1 million march. And I just want to remind you that 2 days ago, tens of thousands of young people marched. They marched not just against guns in the schools or safer schools, they marched for a better world. So I'm hoping everybody, if you haven't given to our $1 million match, you do so. I've given, everybody on the board has given, so we hope you keep giving. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you so much, Barbara. And our next question, actually, we're going to have some questions that were submitted by alumni. People emailed questions in and posted them on Facebook. And so we've compiled questions based on those. So there are 5. And we're going to introduce Emily Steinmetz, who's our professor, to talk about that. So Emily, come on up, please. The first question is, if you could talk about what current students are doing. What is the kind of work that the students are doing in the classroom? What really stands out as our current Antiochians?
Is this okay? Yeah. Okay. I was getting some cues. I didn't know what they meant. Okay, so I'm here to talk about some of the work that students are doing just beyond the classroom. I think a lot of faculty try to engage students in a lot of experiential activities. And we have a lot of senior projects that involve a lot of original student research. And I think I only have 2 minutes, so James had also asked me to talk specifically about a project we've been working on called States of Incarceration. I teach anthropology, and a lot of my research has been with incarcerated women. I also teach a lot in the prison system in Ohio. The new school in New York City has a Humanities Action Lab component, and they're doing a national exhibition called States of Incarceration, where they are reaching out to schools across the country. And so Antioch is the first college in Ohio that's responded to this call, and we're the 21st school to participate. So my class contributed to this national research project by looking at the problem of life sentencing. And we collaborated with incarcerated women. They were our advisors on this project. We took all our research materials in for them to review and give us feedback on. And our component of this has been now integrated into the States of Incarceration National Exhibition, and we'll be traveling around the country. So this will be hosted at the Herndon Gallery April, May, and the beginning of June. So the students did a lot of engaged research. They had to go out into the world, they had to come with me to the prison, they had to call the parole board and find out what the parole process is in Ohio. They were researching the history of life sentencing laws and trying to map out a timeline of what those laws were, what the federal Supreme Court and state Supreme Court decisions were on some of these issues. Trying to think what else. There were a lot of pieces to this. Anyway, so, we looked at aging, hospice, and illness inside of prisons. So when you have long sentences, you have people aging and dying in prisons, and what does that mean and look like? And so the students had to do research on all this to include in the project. When it's hosted at the Herndon, I'm almost finished. When it's hosted at the Herndon, we'll be having a set of public dialogues around this topic. So we've invited formerly incarcerated people, attorneys, activists, faculty at other institutions, as well as members of the parole board to come and have conversations about some of these complicated issues. So that's an example of something students have been doing. I could talk for days about some of the really exciting senior project research our students have done. I have a folder here, like full of stuff that I'm happy to show anybody who's in attendance if you want to see it. So Thanks.
Thank you.
And now I'm going to ask Sheldon Chestnut, his class of 2005, to come up. There's a question about supporting a diverse student population when we are such a small campus. And Shelby chairs the Board of Trustees, is it the Diversity Committee, Diversity and Inclusion?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So Shelby, if you wouldn't mind just talking about how we support students of either color, diverse population.
Hi, everyone. You better be tuning in because this is really awesome. Technology has come a long way. I think the question around diversity is a big question, and I think higher education as a whole is dealing with it, but I think Antioch is really grappling with it, and I think has an opportunity to really sort of meet the needs of students. And in our recruitment, we're able to recruit students who aren't the traditional students that we might need. So looking at sort of transfer students, but students in community college, immigrant students, communities of color, low-income students, and how do we sort of bring them into a college that will support the sort of modern needs that society has. And I think especially in this moment where America is really grappling with what our values are as Americans and how we want to be in this world and as leaders, bringing in these students is the easier part, but I think sustaining these students and creating environments where they have resources to sort of thrive in these environments. I was a Midwesterner when I went to Antioch, so Antioch wasn't a huge shock to me, but many of my peers were coming from major cities. I have Shadi Alvarez back there, class of 96. Came from the Bronx, New York, so Southwest Ohio was sort of a shock to her, but like how are we making that an environment where people will thrive and really meet their full potential? And I think, as Barbara mentioned, it's the $1 Million March this month, so really matching these gifts and getting in the resources that students need to sort of meet their learning needs. But then, hearing about the educational work that the faculty and students are doing, like that's cutting edge, the ways that incarceration and imprisonment is impacting so many communities across the country, specifically communities of color, Black communities, Ohio, and how do we sort of connect this local work to this national movement of people is really groundbreaking. So if you know students who are interested in coming to Antioch, I think it's a great fit for them. Super small student-faculty ratio. I mean, truly you're building the community as it's happening in front of you, so what more? Bring them, send them. Admissions needs people.
Thank you.
Our next question is also around diversity, but we hear a lot from alumni who are wondering about diversity of opinions, diversity of thoughts, and how students are open to debate on campus. So students, come on up. This is Ben Zeitzman. He's class of 20. Oh my gosh, I'm going to get your class year wrong. 2020. And Jocelyn, do you want to come up as well? Yeah. Jocelyn's a third-year student. So Jocelyn's here with the Board of Trustees. She's serving on the Board of Trustees as a student representative, and Ben is here on co-op right now. So,
hi everybody. Hi. So you can't see it on the live screen right now, but I'm facing a bank of windows here, and we're looking out on the Catholic University of America. And to me, I think of the Catholic University of America as being one of the most ideologically homogenous schools there could be. I'm wrong though. I don't know about the intricacies of Catholicism, and I'm willing to bet right now, not 800 feet from us, there are people debating transubstantiation or catechisms or whatever that might be. I think that that's instructive in the case of Antioch. Now, we're a school of 130 students that's explicitly oriented around social justice. We have the history that we have. I don't know how many of our buildings have not been occupied by students at one point, violently or otherwise. We, have a rich history. But the thing is, that means we're going to attract a certain kind of student, and the assumption that means there's going to be homogenous views doesn't actually add up as a student there. For one thing, I know people at Antioch who voted for Trump. There are Antioch students who voted for Trump. For their safety, I'm not going to name them, but out of the 130, they're out there. For another thing, though, out of the people who are on the left, there are so many different views and so many different ideas about activism and about how to achieve social justice and that sort of thing. And it was most evident for me when somebody wrote some graffiti on a student's face, and everything could have broken down. It could have just devolved into incivility and strife. And it didn't. We came together and we talked about it. We worked it through. And that wouldn't happen in another school, I don't think. There are 130 of us, and we all believe different things, but we all talk about it, so there's diversity.
Great. I'm Jocelyn Cruz. I'm a third year, as James said. In terms of diversity of opinion on campus, as sorry, I was blanking. As Ben Zeitzman said, there's a lot of them. I've seen so much just this year alone. I'm not going to name specific cases, but there's definitely a lot of opinion. I feel like there's usually this is the right way to think, and I'm gonna try to steer you in that direction, which sometimes causes like nervousness around speaking out about issues that people care about, but overall, people do come together, talk about it, even though their views may be butting heads. They try to resolve it for the most part. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks so much for passing the Ben. The next question is for President Manley, Tom Manley. If you could come up. There's obviously questions about what are we doing as a college? What makes Antioch unique? Why is Antioch needed in this world? And how are we going to survive?
Well, hello everyone. Good evening. So this idea of what makes Antioch unique, I think, is captured by Oscar Wilde, who once said, "Be yourself. Everyone else is taken." And at Antioch, the idea is that we create space, as much space as possible, for students to have agency, for them to claim their education, and to be responsible for their education, and to work through the struggle of that. And so our sense is that at Antioch you own your education, and you take the time to develop that with your faculty, to work out a major that speaks to your passions, that demonstrates your commitment to learning, and through co-op and other experiential learning opportunities such as the ones that Emily talked about, there's a chance to not only get a great intellectual preparation, but to actually begin to apply that, not after you leave Antioch, but while you're in college. And that creates an amazing narrative for you to move into the world, not as someone who's going to be meek or hold back, but someone who will be themselves in the world and will work to make that world better. So that's the kind of education that's being provided by an amazing small faculty, by a place that is aimed at getting to know you and to preparing you for living an education for a life. We're so proud of the work that's being done now by our students, our faculty, our staff, and above all by our alumni. And we look forward to telling you more about this and to getting your support in keeping this amazing 167-year-old work in progress going.
The final question is about how can we help? We hear from alumni all the time, how can we help? And I have somebody here who knows how to help because she's been helping for a long time. I'll take this moment to actually introduce myself since I didn't do it, since I was futzing with the live stream earlier. But my name is James Lippincott. I'm the Director of Alumni and External Relations, and I've been here at Antioch College for just about a year now. And it's really my privilege to be here and to do this work. And It's an exciting place to be, and I can't think of another place in higher education, and I've worked at a few that I would rather be at because of the incredible things that we are doing together. But Karen Melhauser, she is class of 1965 and president of the Alumni Association and a member of the Board of Trustees.
Yes, and some of you know this, I'm a recidivist. I was the president of the Alumni Association back in the 80s, and so now I am again the president of the Alumni Association and on the Board of Trustees. And I have to tell you that, you know, life is full of challenges. Antioch has some now, and there are myriad ways that we can help. I don't know if Ben was embarrassed to say this, but he's living with me now. He's on co-op in DC, and I think he's the 12th or the 13th co-op student that's lived in my house since Antioch reopened, because DC has a lot of great jobs, but most of them don't pay. So that's one way that alumni can help, is when the co-op students come to your community, invite them to your home, invite other alumni to meet them. The other way you can help is with recruitment. And there are materials that we can make available online on how to help with recruitment, interviewing students or prospective students, I mean, and talking about our own Antioch College experience, but also the experience of the students of today, and we can find out what that experience is. You can come to Reunion. Reunion this year in Yellow Springs, Ohio is in July 13th through 15th, and we'd love to see you there. There are the 2008 class, which is the 10th anniversary class, is planning activities. The 50th class is planning activities. The 60th class is planning activities. So it's a time to reach out to your classmates and say, come to Yellow Springs, let's see each other, let's see what each other is doing. There's a directory. It's an online directory, and you can sign up and meet your friends that way too. Be in touch with them. It's alumni.antiochcollege.edu. So sign up, see who else, find your friends, find out how to get in touch with your classmates and others that you met at Antioch College. And there's Switchboard. I don't know if any of you know about Switchboard, but I've been getting information about Switchboard with students asking for help from alumni and alumni offering help. And this is another way that you can reconnect to Antioch College. There are lots of ways. And I am so proud of the college that I went to, of the alumni board that I'm currently involved with, and the Board of Trustees. We have a lot of work, and it's sometimes fun.
The last word here, so don't go too far, but we just wanted to thank everybody for coming out here tonight. Thank you for your support of Antioch and your care. Oh, we actually are not, we're going to have another word. David Goodman might get the last word. Okay. But, well, I'll just invite David up. This is live. Anything can happen when you're live.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Suzanne said I would get up. See what I have in my hand? I'll hold it up. It's a check.
Good.
So I'm honored to be on the board of Antioch College. I'm one of those people who've lived, sometimes historians talk about history cycles in 50-year increments, half a century. I've lived more than half a century, and I'm an engineer, fourth-generation engineer, and I made the mistake of getting an MBA from Stanford. So I can compare Stanford to Antioch. Antioch had it all over Stanford. But I'm intrigued, now that we're in the 21st century, watching our society, our world, solving our 21st century problems with 20th century solutions. And if you look at Antioch College's vision statement, it says, amongst other things, Antioch College will be the place where new and better ways of living are discovered. And that's so important today, because we're not solving our problems, and we have to learn new and better ways, which I can see the young people here who I've spoken with and met with are doing just that. It's a unique opportunity for reinventing a school for the 21st century. So people ask me all the time, how can I help? Well, there's really an easy way. Just write a check for any amount you can, or go online. And really, it is important. We're not a for-profit company that sells widgets. We are running a non-profit institution. I also happen to be president of the Andrew Goodman Foundation. I understand how important it is to raise money. And you can't sit on the sidelines and expect somebody else to do it. It just won't happen that way. You all have to write a check, and that's what we're here for. Part of the job of the Board of Trustees is to raise money. There are 20 people on the board. Over the last 11 years, we've raised tens of millions of dollars, but even so, the board is too small to support Antioch College. So we need all of the alums, we need you, we need you now. Thank you very much.
James said I could come back, Karen Mulhauser again. And as president of the Alumni Board, I wrote to all of my colleagues